By the time Aaryan returned to his apartment, it was nearly 2 a.m. The building looked like it was waiting to collapse. Cracked walls, flickering lights, thin hallways that smelled of dust and old rain. Home. Aaryan unlocked the door and stepped inside. One room, one bed, one table. Nothing unnecessary. He tossed his blood-stained shirt into the sink, then sat down quietly, not resting, thinking. 2 nights, 2 kills, 2 encounters, 2 different types of enemies. That alone confirmed something important. This hidden world wasn't random. It was organized, which meant there were rules, structures, power balances, and if those existed, then someone controlled them. Aaryan leaned back slightly. His dark eyes reflected the faint city lights outside the window. Good. Chaos was dangerous, but systems could be exploited. The translucent screen appeared again. Daily evaluation complete. Host status. Stable. Synchronization. 9%. Current rank. Rank 1 intermediate. Available essence. 12 units. Aaryan's gaze paused. Essence can be stored. Interesting. Not just immediate growth. Resource management. That made the system far more useful than simple power enhancement. Then another notification appeared. New function unlocked. Blood archive. Aaryan selected it immediately. The screen shifted. Blood archive. Record observed blood signatures. Analyze abilities. Track evolution patterns. Detect lineage abnormalities. Aaryan's eyes sharpened slightly. Now that's useful. Information. Prediction. Adaptation. This wasn't a brute force system. It was built for someone who could think. And that made him smile. The next morning, the city looked normal. Again, people drank coffee. Students complained about assignments. Cars filled the streets. No one knew monsters existed. Or maybe, the powerful simply made sure they didn't know. Aaryan walked toward campus calmly, one hand in his pocket. Then, blood sense activated automatically. His steps slowed slightly. 3 signatures nearby. 1 human, 2 hidden. Watching him. Persistent. But this time, he pretended not to notice. That was important too. If others were observing him, then he should observe them back. Engineering building rooftop. You're adapting quickly. Aaryan didn't turn immediately. He already recognized the voice. The girl from before walked toward him slowly. Today she wore the same neutral expression. Calm. Controlled. Dangerous. You keep appearing around me. She shrugged lightly. And you keep surviving. Fair enough. Aaryan looked at her properly this time. Not her face. Her movements. Breathing. Posture. Everything about her was disciplined. Trained. Not self-taught like him. Which meant faction. The realization came instantly. She noticed it too. Her lips curved faintly. You're smart. You're part of an organization. No point hiding it now. She nodded. We call them clans. There it was. Confirmation. A hidden society. Aaryan stayed silent, letting her continue. The world you know, she said calmly, is only the surface. Beneath it are clans, bloodlines, ancient families, sealed creatures, forbidden territories. A pause. And things humans were never supposed to survive. Aaryan's expression remained calm. Internally, interested. Very interested. And where do I fit into this? The girl looked directly into his eyes. That's the problem. Silence. Wind moved across the rooftop. Then, you don't. Interesting answer. Not weak. Not small. Not irrelevant. Problem. Aaryan smiled slightly. You still haven't told me your name. A few seconds passed before she answered. Sarah. Short. Simple. Easy to remember. Aaryan. I know. Of course she did. Sarah walked closer to the edge of the rooftop, looking down at the crowded campus below. You should leave the city. Aaryan raised an eyebrow slightly. Why? Her answer came quietly. Because someone important noticed you. That mattered. More than threats. More than enemies. tension. And judging from her tone, this wasn't good attention. Who? For the first time, Sarah hesitated slightly. Then, the Ashvale clan. The moment she said the name, warning, hostility detected, Ashvale bloodline. Aaryan's eyes narrowed slightly, so the system knew them too. Interesting. Sarah noticed the brief shift in his expression. They're not a small faction, she said carefully. Even among the clans, they're feared. Why? They hunt anomalies. A pause. And you, her gaze sharpened slightly, are becoming one. Silence settled again. Then Aaryan asked the most important question. How strong are they? Sarah answered immediately. Clan leader, rank 8. Aaryan's heartbeat didn't change, but internally, something moved. Rank 8. One of the strongest beings in existence. And they noticed him already. Most people would panic. Most would hide. Most would run. Aaryan simply looked toward the city skyline, then smiled faintly. Good. Sarah stared at him. You're insane. No. His eyes darkened slightly. I just finally found a world worth climbing. For a moment, Sarah said nothing, because standing there, under the pale morning sky, Aaryan didn't look like prey anymore. He looked like the beginning of something dangerous. And deep inside, she had a feeling, one that refused to disappear. If he survives, everything will change. The rooftop conversation stayed in Aaryan's mind longer than expected. Not because of Sarah, not because of the Ashvale clan, but because of one sentence. You don't fit anywhere. He liked that, because fitting into this world had never interested him. 3 days later, life returned to routine, at least on the surface. Morning lectures, assignments, hotel shifts, late-night hunts. But now, Aaryan noticed patterns everywhere, not just in people, in systems. Professors reused predictable teaching structures. Students repeated emotional habits. Markets fluctuated in cycles. Even conversations followed patterns once observed long enough. His mind was changing, quickly, not magically, sharpening, evolving. Information stayed in his head effortlessly now. Complex engineering concepts that once took hours became simple after a single explanation. At first he thought it was imagination. Then he scored highest in 2 internal assessments without studying properly. That confirmed it. The system isn't only changing my body, it was optimizing him. Entirely. Engineering lab. Your calculations are wrong. The room fell silent. Aaryan stood near one of the project tables, staring calmly at a senior student. The senior frowned. What? Aaryan pointed toward the circuit model. The resistance values collapse under sustained thermal load. Silence. The senior scoffed immediately. No, they don't. Aaryan didn't argue, didn't explain emotionally. He simply picked up a marker and rewrote the equations. Fast, precise, clean. 1 minute later, the room was quiet, because he was right. The professor adjusted his glasses slowly. How did you catch that? Aaryan placed the marker down casually. It was obvious. The entire room stared at him, especially Elena. She sat near the window watching him carefully. Not surprised anymore. Interested. Very interested. Because over the past few months, Aaryan had changed. Subtly, but undeniably. His posture was straighter. His movements calmer. His face sharper. Even his voice felt more controlled. And girls had started noticing. A lot. Not loudly. Not openly. But constantly. Whispers followed him now. Especially after his academic rise. The quiet hotel worker suddenly became top-ranked academically, strangely charismatic, impossible to approach comfortably. Most girls admired him from a distance, because something about him felt dangerous. But Aaryan never encouraged attention, never flirted, never cared, which only made him more attractive. And Elena noticed that too, especially the part where, despite everyone watching him, his attention always returned to her naturally. Not intentionally, just instinctively. after class. You embarrassed him. Elena walked beside Aaryan through the hallway. He embarrassed himself. She laughed softly. A small sound. Warm. Aaryan glanced at her briefly, then away. Dangerous. Not because she was weak, but because around her, his guard lowered slightly, and that was unfamiliar. You've changed, Elena said quietly. Aaryan looked ahead calmly. People change. Not this much. Silence. Normally people rush to fill silence. Neither of them did. That was one reason being around her felt easy. No pretending. No performance. Just presence. They entered the campus courtyard together. Students everywhere. Noise everywhere. The moment people noticed them walking side by side, whispers started immediately. They're together again. Didn't they stay late after project work yesterday? They seriously look like a couple. Elena ignored it naturally. So did Aaryan, which somehow made the rumors worse. Evening hotel shift. Aaryan placed plates across a table calmly. The restaurant was busy tonight. Rain tapped softly against the glass windows. Then, blood sense activated. His eyes sharpened slightly. 3 signatures. One familiar, Sarah, and 2 others, far stronger. Aaryan continued working normally, not reacting, but internally. He became focused instantly. The restaurant door opened. 2 men entered. Elegant black suits. Perfect posture. Cold eyes. They didn't look around much. They already knew where he was. Warning. High-rank blood signatures detected. Estimated rank, 3. Aaryan placed the tray down calmly. Interesting. Rank 3 already. That was faster than expected. Sarah sat alone near the corner table, watching silently, not interfering. The 2 men approached him directly. The taller one spoke first. Aaryan Virel. Not a question. Aaryan met his gaze calmly. Depends who's asking. The man's expression didn't change. We represent the Ashvale clan. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Even normal humans nearby unconsciously became quieter. Predatory pressure. Controlled. But Aaryan remained still. The second man looked at him carefully. You really are strange. A pause. Then the taller man said, Our leader wishes to meet you. There it was. The first true invitation into the hidden world. Most people would fear it, because refusing a rank 8 faction wasn't smart. But Aaryan only asked one thing. And if I say no? The restaurant became silent. The 2 men stared at him, probably wondering if he understood who they represented. Then, unexpectedly, the taller man smiled slightly. Then things become difficult. Aaryan looked at him for a few seconds. Calm. Unreadable. Then finally, he smiled faintly. Good.